Welcome to the Rise to the Challenge podcast. Joined today, he's an author, producer, vocalist, entrepreneur, and award-winning songwriter. It's Drew Ryder Smith. How are you doing today, Drew?
Great, man. Thank you for having me.
We're so excited to have you on the show to talk about your rise to the challenge. What we like to do with all of our guests is go right to the beginning. Talk about where you're from and what did you like doing growing up?
Ben, I grew up about an hour and a half south of Nashville, so kind of between Nashville and Muscle Shoals, Alabama. And growing up, man, it was really no different than it is now. I loved music. I loved playing guitar and writing songs, and I never stopped doing it.
What was the music that you enjoyed listening to growing up? Was there a certain artist, a certain genre that was home for you?
Man, all of it, honestly. My parents listened to such a crazy mixture and blend of things, from the singer-songwriter stuff like Jackson Browne and John Prine and Steve Earle to Guns N' Roses and all the hair bands, and then even the grunge stuff, the 90s grunge era, and then back to Merle Haggard and Dolly Parton and artists like that. So really listen to everything. My parents had a very eclectic music taste, and I'm very blessed and fortunate that they did. I'm glad that they did, because it exposed me to so much.
Taking all those different artists, genres that you did listen to, do you think it's helped you with how you create music today, where you kind of have that background with kind of listening to different varieties, see what works, what you like, and kind of incorporate that into your music?
I think so, man. I think that all of that stuff, it's all of it ends up being a piece of you and what you do, and as a result of that, little pieces of it flow out into what I put out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether I realize it or not, it's not I don't think it's a conscious thing at all. It's, it's just, it's in there.
With music, when was like the first time you performed on a stage at a young age, or did you kind of just do it in the background and not really got in front of a crowd when you were young?
I think the first time that I ever played in front of anybody, I was probably 12 or so, in a little bar that I probably wasn't even supposed to be in, honestly. My dad would take me to this place. There were a couple places in my hometown that had live music on Friday and Saturday nights, and they only served beer. We were a dry county for years, really, until the last 10 years or so, I guess, maybe 15 years it's been now. But when I was growing up, yeah, it was a dry county, but they frowned upon kids being in the bar on Friday and Saturday nights. But my guitar teacher at the time, he would play on the weekends, and so my dad would take me and we'd go listen to music, and then my guitar teacher would get me up and let me play a little bit. And from there, I mean, it was smaller stuff like that until I started playing in Nashville.
Did you always know growing up that this was the route you wanted to go as a career? Or sometimes we're asked that fun question, what is that dream job? Did you have something else that you wanted to do?
No, I was really into meteorology when I was super young. But by the time I was 10, man, like I knew that this is what I wanted to do. And I wanted to be in I think I would have settled for anything in the music business. I wanted to have a job where I was surrounded by music all day, every day. And so, yeah, I'd say about 10 years old, man, I knew that this was the only thing that I really cared about doing.
I think a lot of people are now more interested in why meteorology. How did that become something you were passionate about?
Because I don't know, man. I don't even know where that came from. But I was all about it, man. I was super interested in it. I think part of it came from, there was a meteorologist in Northeast Alabama, a guy named Dan Satterfield. He's back in Oklahoma now, where I think he was originally from. But I was so fascinated in him. He was such a weather nerd, but he was just the coolest guy. And I really admired him. And I was into that until we had an F5 tornado come through my hometown when I was pretty young, and seeing what that did, uh, I went, I'm not sure this is for me. I don't know if chasing storms is really my thing. So yeah, I don't know really where that fascination started, but I'm glad that it ended.
See, now you just need to get a opportunity to go to a news station for like a guest appearance and ask, "Can I be a meteorologist for the day? Can I do
Just for the day.
weather?
Yeah.
Can I do the weather? Talk about it's going to be sunny here. It's going to
Dude,
be
you know what?
easy."
I would still love that so much. I really would. That's been years ago that I've been interested in that stuff, but I would still love that.
I think that would be so cool just to, I mean, I'm not big of a weather person because I'm like here in Missouri, it's like it could be snowing one day, it could be rainy, it could be sunny, but how it happens out of nowhere is just fascinating to me. I
Yeah.
mean, you talked about you being near tornadoes. I've been in a few tornadoes myself. One's hit my house, and it's just like, how did this happen? Like, I mean, to me, it's just fascinating in a weird way.
It
But
is,
like
man.
I think people like they joke about like, oh, I could do that job. There's probably a lot more that we don't know that they have to do than say something and oh, it could happen, it could not happen.
Yeah. And that's one of those jobs where people just hate you either way. Because
It's so true.
if you miss it by like, if you say it's going to rain at 3 and it doesn't rain till 5, then people go, hey, they don't know what they're talking about, and so
I,
yeah, those people take a lot of crap, man. They
they
really do.
I mean, even when
Yeah.
you look at the apps, it's like, oh, it's supposed to rain at 3. You change your whole schedule, and then
Yeah.
it's like, where's the rain? Is it happening? Did I miss it? Did it blink and go?
Yeah, and then you're pissed and you go, why do I even have this app? Why do I even have this?
With your music journey, as you're getting older, getting to the high school days, was education on the horizon, or was it really trying to get into the workforce, trying to really start the grind in the music industry?
No, man, I'm a high school dropout.
Okay.
I made it halfway through my sophomore year, and that was the end of that. So I was not interested in education. All I wanted to do was I just wanted to play guitar and write songs and be left alone.
Mhm.
And that's the honest God's truth. I just didn't. I felt like I'd gotten enough from what was there in high school. In hindsight, now I was an idiot to think that, but I just wasn't interested in any of those things. And I think part of my disdain was that I saw what, all of my peers wanted to do. These guys wanted to be lawyers and doctors and nurses and teachers and fabricators, engineers, and all of that stuff. And all of those things require further schooling. And
Yep.
I thought, man, if somebody will just let me go and just let me do this, I think I can make it work. And so that was kind of what I did.
Did you have support from your family, friends that kind of were supporting you in that? They did not support.
No, no, man. I mean, my parents wanted to kill me for dropping out of school.
Oh,
The only way that that happened was I had been skipping school and they didn't know it. I'd missed like 26 consecutive days or something. I mean, it was something crazy. And so I was going to flunk out that semester anyway. And because of my shenanigans, when the high school finally figured out what was going on, especially the principal, when he figured out what was going on, he was just over it, because that didn't look good on him.
mhm.
And so, and I sat down with him in his office. I said, dude, I don't want to be here. I just want to play music, and I don't want any part of this. And he, again, because I was going to flunk out, I said, well, maybe I could do like homeschool or something. And I did, they let me get homeschool curriculum, and I did that for a few months, and then I just kind of stopped doing it, but my parents were not happy about it at all. And rightfully so. Um, I'm a pseudo stepdad, and we've got a 10-year-old, and if she quit halfway through her sophomore year, I wouldn't be happy about it. So I totally get it. But I was very blessed to be able to make it work somehow. It worked out in the end. It took several years, but I'm where I'm at.
Do you feel that you had a lot more to prove now that making that decision to step away from schooling and really get out there, you had to prove to not yourself, but other people? Because you talked about it took you a few years to really get there, but was that kind of a hard task for you to take on? They put a lot of pressure on you.
It really didn't, to be honest. I went back, a couple of years later, and I got my GED, and I went to a community college. I became an EMT. I did that for a few years. Uh, the great thing about that job was we worked, 24-hour shifts, so it was
Mhm.
24 on and 48 off, and so I had 48 hours to work on music,
Mhm.
which was really that was a great schedule, because I was getting a lot of time to go out and uh, I'd play downtown Nashville on Broadway, and I'd get in writing appointments and do writers' nights and things like that, and and it wouldn't affect my work, and my work wouldn't affect that so much. So that was really, I mean, that was such an ideal situation. And I'd love to say that I had planned it that way, but I really didn't. I just needed a job until I could make the music thing start working. Um, so I was able to have a good balance of having a job that would pay my bills and have, some benefits, and still have all this time to work on my music.
Yep.
So I was really fortunate in that. I would recommend that to anybody. Find a job where you work 24 straight and then you're off for 48. Gives you plenty of time to work on the other stuff if you're not, totally exhausted. But as you only work, every third day. But to answer your question, man, I was doing that, and I was doing the EMT thing and the music thing, and I just thought that I think I just kind of inherently knew that something would happen, but I never really thought about naysayers or um, I'm sure that at that time there was probably a subconscious thought of wanting to make my parents proud.
Mhm.
Um, Not so much to prove anybody wrong, but just uh, I wanted to do well enough where they went, okay, well, that wasn't the end of the world. When he quit school and all that, we didn't fail him as parents. You know, and I was able to do that after some time, but otherwise it really wasn't any kind of pressure. I think I was just so focused on what I was doing and what I wanted to do that I didn't really care what anybody else thought. I wanted to just get there.
I love that concept you just said that you did stuff for what you wanted to do and you took advantage of the off time to really fulfill your passion to get to look where you are today, where if you didn't do it during those 48 hours off, that who knows where you would be today.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I think a lot of people should find those passion projects or find something that they enjoy doing and work it into their schedule because everyone will have that time to do it. I mean, I work all day and I come and do this. I'm happy and I make it work. And with your music, if someone's listening to your music for the first time, how would you describe it to a person?
Well, I think it's modern country music, but very much so less on the pop side of
Mhm.
country right now. I think it's pretty down the middle. I know that seems that that statement probably doesn't make anybody jump up and go, "Oh God, I got to go listen to his stuff right now." But but it's not the pop stuff. It's I think it's probably closer to the Luke Combs kind of thing, maybe a little heavier than that. Somewhere between that and Eric Church and Dierks Bentley.
Would you say that the lyrics in your song play with things that have been in your life or moments from your life? Or how do you get inspiration when you're creating a song?
Man, anywhere I can get it, honestly, whether it be something that I've been through, or that if it's something that a friend went through and we talked about it, or if I read it in a magazine or on the internet or saw it on TV or a line from a movie, I take it wherever I can get it.
Is there one song that's kind of been a big hit for you where it really connects people to you or really connects to something that people are learning about you?
So I wrote a song that it's been cut a couple of times, but I got my first gold record from it. It was recorded by Randy Houser, and it was on his "How Country Feels" album, which was it's a huge record for him. It saved his career, saved my career, and or I guess made my career. I was early on. I'd just got my first songwriting deal, um, but that song has kept me around. It's a song called "The Singer," and he did just an amazing job of singing it. But I think that connects the lines pretty well. I mean, it's kind of it's a traditional, almost a traditional sounding song, but it's got that singer songwriter thing
Mhm.
to it, a country singer songwriter thing to it, and that's really at the heart of who I am, is the singer songwriter stuff. Um, but you listen to my other stuff. There's heavier production on it, and I think that comes from rock influence and alternative and stuff like that. But really, I think that song, that's maybe that's my answer, because that's what I've been known for a while, was that song, and it was such a staple song for me and for that record. Um, so, but I do feel like that song pretty well sums me up.
Do you prefer writing the songs and then performing it or having someone else help you write it or write it for you and then you sing it?
Man, I love to co-write. That's all I've done for 13 years. I guess if you count the years prior to me getting any kind of writing deal, it's been closer to 15 or 16 years that I've been co-writing with other people, and I love that. There's so much fun in that, because it's it never ceases to amaze me how ideas can twist just because somebody else is in the room. And even if it's not, like this huge significant thing, there's just little parts of people that weave their way into your initial idea, and vice versa, that make it so much better and so much different than it would have been had you just written it yourself.
Mhm.
And that's crazy to me, man. As I've thought about so many of the songs that I've written with other people, and that I had at least considered writing just by myself. And I think, man, that just it wouldn't be the same song, and I don't think I would like it as much. So co-writing is really a lot of fun to me. Um, I've yet to cut anything that I haven't written, but I think that's the songwriter in me, man, and that's what people have been recording my songs for years now. And so I think I'm still just kind of in that spot. I'm certainly not too good to cut outside songs that I haven't written. I don't think that at all, and I don't ever want anyone to have that impression. But right now, I've just been focusing on writing new material um, for what I've been putting out and what I plan on putting out, and plus I've got 15 years of back catalog.
Mhm.
It's thousands of songs, man. So I have no shortage of material. Um, so right now I'm just kind of sticking with what I've written, but yeah, I have no opposition at all to recording something that someone else wrote.
The last few years, especially in the music industry, it has been a challenge for singers, songwriters because of the new changes that are happening where CDs are kind of going away, streaming's coming, but really they have to elevate their brand, their content that they're really showcasing, build that fan base.
Yeah.
How have you been able to take that challenge and really drive it home to really connect with your fans in a different way or create music in a different way?
I haven't, unfortunately. That's why I have a team, is because I'm so disconnected from any of those ideas of the social media aspect of
Mhm.
it, and building that brand. And I think one thing that I've got going for me is that I finally realized that I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to that. I don't understand algorithms, you know, I and I don't understand why or how the algorithms change or who's behind. who's behind the screen making the algorithms change.
Yep.
I don't understand any of that stuff. And frankly, Alex, I don't want to, because I want to be writing music and recording. And so in today's environment, the the nature of this beast has become that you've got to be a social media guru. You're your own social media manager. You've got to probably be your own photographer, editor, content creator, all of those things, marketing, all of that stuff, in addition to trying to make music.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got to learn all the parts of that. And because it's more than just constantly posting pictures or videos, you do have to understand things like algorithms and trends and all that. And it moves so fast. And so
Yes.
it's like, all right, so do I want to halt what I'm doing musically to try to learn all of this stuff and try to keep up with it? Or do I want to continue with what I'm doing musically and then try to get someone else on board that understands this, that can help me with this and do that part of it? And then I've got the best of both worlds. And that's what I've done. And so I've been, I've got a great publicist and great digital team, and I've been learning a lot from them, but I really lean on them for those things. And I just try to give them the content that they ask for, and try not to ask too many questions about why they're doing things the way that they're doing, because it's probably just not for me to understand.
I can agree with learning all the algorithms. I don't even know what I'm
Yeah.
doing, but even trying to learn it, I want to become better, but I know it would take so long to really become an expert. And you're doing the smart thing. You're getting that advice or getting help in those areas so that you can focus on your strengths, but you're still learning at the same time. It's not like you're just giving up and saying, I don't care about this. If you're
Yeah.
able to take a little bit, 1% each time, and learning that knowledge over time, you're going to become better and better. But like you said, it's changing every single day, and you get to do what you love to do, which is making music.
I think the cool thing about it, constantly changing like that, is it's opened up different creative outlets for people to be a part of. So there's these social media geniuses. I mean, again, we've got a 10-year-old daughter, man. She knows it better than I do. She understands it. And she tries to explain it to me. She's like, Drew, it's really not that hard. You just got to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, I don't understand any of that. So you can just stop. You can go ahead and stop trying to explain it, because I'm not going to get it. But she's 10 and she understands it. But there's people that are making a really good living at that now. And I think that's cool that has that's now a thing. And to me, that seems greater than just the influencer thing,
Yeah.
where so there really seems to be a great purpose for that job. So I hate that I'm too dumb to understand it myself, and that I have to get somebody to help me with it. But I'm not too proud, man. I'm really not. I know that I need help with it, and we've been trying to build my numbers for several months now, and we're making some leeway with that. The hardest part for me is the amount of time that it takes.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a part of me, surely I knew better than this, but there, I think anytime you're trying to build a team, you go, okay, well, now that if I build this team, it's going to happen so much faster. And that's not really the case. You're executing things much better, and eventually it's going to grow, and it'll eventually take off. But it just takes a while for you to get to that taking off point. And that's kind of the position that I'm in now, and it's to an extent, I think that kind of dictates what I do as an artist. Not so
Mm-hmm.
much as a songwriter, but as an artist, and what I put out and when I put it out. It's like, well, I love these songs, but here's the amount of followers I've got. Do I give it 6 months and see if we've doubled our followers and then there's greater exposure? Or, there's a lot of questions like that. But again, having a team definitely helps with answering some of those questions, and allows me to not be too heady about it.
Do you have any songs or fun projects coming out soon that you would want to
Yeah.
share with the listeners?
I got a ton of new music coming out, but I just had a new EP come out less than a month ago. It was just a few weeks ago. It's my first self-titled EP. I'm ashamed that it has taken me so many years to put something out myself. But again, I've been writing songs for other artists, and that's been great, and I've loved that so much. But I feel like I still have so much that I want to say, and the difference is now that some of those things I want to say on myself,
Mhm.
and so that's the reason I've really gone after this artist thing, and I'm really loving it so far. But tons of new music coming out the rest of this year, and there's going to be a very steady flow of music, and that keeps me excited as to know that I didn't finish this EP and go, okay, well now what? Like we've already got stuff in the can that's ready to go. And so we've my co-producer and we've kind of stayed ahead of schedule, and
Mhm.
I love that. I love that we've done that because we constantly have something that's ready to go, and it's a matter of trying to project what's going to work and when it's going to work. And but yeah, tons of stuff coming out this year.
A fun question I like to ask all the singers that I interview: is there a dream stage or an event that you hope to perform at one day? What would
Man,
that stage or event be?
right, man, I got to play the Ryman Auditorium some years ago with Merle Haggard before he passed away. And man, the Ryman to me, the Ryman was just it. That's the mother church in Nashville, and that's everybody from Hank Williams Sr. To the Foo Fighters have played on that stage, and and everybody in between, and because it doesn't get any more country than Hank Sr. And it doesn't get any more rock and roll than the Foo
Yep.
Fighters. And so heroes of mine have played that stage over the years, and so that's always been like my bucket list venue to play, and I've been able to play it, but I want to play it at least 200 more times is the goal. So one time wasn't enough for me, so I'd love to go back there.
When you're thinking about traveling and performing at places, does it take a toll on you personally, or does it kind of motivate you to like, this is what I love to do? This gets me excited to get out on tour and travel and perform.
It's That's a tough one to answer, Alex. Maybe not. I guess it's both of those things. I think it has changed for me because I have a family now.
Mhm.
And before it was just me and a girlfriend, and not to say that that's not important, but I was in a very different place in my life, and so leaving was much easier to do. Now, thinking about being gone so much, the excitement that I would have had about that before, now I tend to focus on the things that I'm going to miss at home while I'm gone, and that's a bummer. And I've got to figure out some middle ground in my head to make that better. And I think that'll get better with time. But yeah, it's much different for me now.
Mhm.
Uh, it does motivate me and it does excite me. But then the other side of it is that I'm going to miss baseball games and stuff like that.
Something that we like to ask all of our guests is, but if you're not working, what does Drew like to do when he's not in the studio writing songs? Something more that listeners may not know.
Man, I'm a NASCAR nut. I am. I know that's a very redneck thing to say, but I love NASCAR. That's kind of my outside of my family and my dogs, man. That's my thing. That's what I enjoy doing. And um I've watched NASCAR since, I guess from the time that I was born. I came from, a racing family on my dad's side. So some of that is in my blood. And yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Other than that, just family and NASCAR, as redneck as that may sound.
Have you gotten the chance to like get into one of those cars? Don't they do like some
Yeah.
experiences like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I did that a few years ago, man, and I injured my rotator cuff doing it,
Oh,
which was not fun, but otherwise it was a really, really great experience. And I got to drive at the Nashville Super Speedway. And man, it was an incredible experience. I'd love to go back and do it again. Man, it was so much fun. I think did about 160 or so. is about as fast as you can go on that track. But yeah, it was an incredible experience. The weight of those cars is really crazy. They're super heavy, and you do this training stuff before, but man, once you get in, like you're in there by yourself. There's no guy. There's
Yeah.
no. It's not like one of those training cars where they've got like, you know, a steering wheel and gas and brake pedals on the passenger side where they can correct things. Like you're in there by yourself and they're talking to you on the radio. And but man, it was a blast. I loved it. Yeah, so racing's definitely in my blood. I think if I hadn't pursued music, I would have wanted to be a race car driver.
Hey, I mean, you never know what can happen. You can add that to the list of titles that I list out the next interview I do of you. Add NASCAR racer or any kind of racer, award-winning racer.
Man, Marty Robbins, years ago, my grandfather used to race with Marty Robbins in Nashville. And Marty Robbins, legendary country singer. But he would finish up he would play the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville on Friday or Saturday night. And he would leave there and he would drive as fast as he could to the Nashville Speedway and get there, and they would have his race car ready, and he'd throw his fire suit on real quick and his helmet. He'd jump in the car and take off, and he'd run races. It was really wild.
That's going to be basically you after you're a tour. You're just going to hop in, get into a plane, get to this raceway, be ready for the race coming
God,
up.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
The final question I'll ask you, for someone that's listening to this interview based on your journey and experience, what tips or advice would you give them to overcome obstacles, accomplish their goals, and rise to the challenge?
Man, I think it's just, you just have to do it. There's just no other way. And it's, you know, I always hate admitting this in interviews, but for so long, I didn't put out music on my own. I let other people record my stuff for years. And I have figured out that the reason I wasn't putting out my own stuff is it was all fear-based.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because, well, you know, people know who I am as a songwriter, and I've been, you know, relatively successful as a songwriter. So, you know, amongst my peers, I'm respected as a songwriter. If I go out and I try to do this artist thing, like really make a go of it, and I fall on my face, what, you know, how are these people going to see me? You know, will I still be respected as a writer? Does that go away if I go out and fail? And that was, I think that was just always an underlying fear. And I think that any kind of obstacles, anything else that you find yourself making excuses for, you can usually figure out that it is in some way fear-based. And if you can just get your head around that and go, you know what, I don't care. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I'm going to try it. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. I don't care what my parents think. I just want to go do my thing, and I'll figure it out. I'll make it work. If you can just get to that point, there's really nothing that can stop you.
Drew, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about your rise to the challenge. You're inspiring so many people, and we are excited to see what the future looks like for you.
Alex, thank you so much, man. I'm very, very grateful to you. I appreciate you having me on.